Welcome back to your favorite podcast on the planet, Realty Talk. We're so excited to be here. Early April 2026, jam-packed today.
Oh yeah, I'm
Lots
excited.
of juicy stuff. We've got our typical updates. We're going to talk about things that kill deals, which is very important. Maybe a little bit of celebrity juice or tea at the end.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple.
Putting the tea in the Realty Talk lately.
Yep. And maybe a couple of other little tidbits. But to my left, we have the queen of the closing table, Suzanne, the CEO, founder of Innovate Realty. If you haven't heard, Innovate Realty is a brokerage that is absolutely crushing it, growing faster than any other brokerage in America right now. And I am Paul, Fix-It-All Hansen. Yeah, we haven't come up with a better nickname, but we might get some.
Yeah.
Bring some. We're asking our viewers and listeners to bring some extra creativity to it.
You can just tell that it's like not in your heart. You know,
Paul
when you say it, your face is like
I don't know that
disappointed that's your nickname. But
I can't fix everything.
I think it's good. I feel there are a lot of things that I come to you with, and you're like, well, why don't we just do that? And you fix it. So you're fixing most of it all. So I think it's good, and houses too. So it feels right for me. But it's got to feel right. It's got to feel right for you.
We're gonna stick with it for now.
I just realized I have my badge on.
Nice. Well, that's a good segue. I mean, but all of the businesses are expanding where it's a new space.
Yeah.
So we have to carry badges around to get from the 3 different suites that we have.
Exactly.
That aren't completely joined yet.
Yeah.
I think there's one last suite on our floor that
we're gonna take it.
It's a random business. If we go into the restroom, I know like 9 out of 10 people, and there's one person from this other business, and they definitely must feel left out.
Yeah.
We have a culture and a vibe going.
Yeah.
And this other business seems a little tense.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably because we're just smothering.
Yeah,
the
we're
space.
taking over. They know we're taking over. So
yeah. So big weeks. I mean, we're in early April. Market's doing what it's doing. I mean, the financial markets rates are up a little bit. 10 years up to 4.3. We've talked about in previous episodes, if you look back 50 years, the 30-year fixed mortgage should pivot by about 175 basis points from the 10-year treasury. So for a long time, there was a big gap, closer to like 225 basis points. And that is tightening a little bit. So rates are just over 6, I think, as of today.
Yeah.
With the 10-year being at 4.3, you add 175 basis points, you're pretty much there at 6.
Yeah.
So that margin that the mortgage-backed security buyer was baking in, may be kind of dissolving or tightening a little bit, which, not sure what to make sense of that. I think in the past we made the statement publicly that if they're wanting a 200 or 225 basis point spread, they believe that at some point in the near future, rates would be coming down. And so they wanted more margin on the loans they were taking at that moment.
Right.
So with the gap coming in, that might just mean that they believe rates are going to be pretty stable for a long time or possibly go up.
Right.
Which I think is what we believe.
I think that's what we're saying. Yeah. We've been kind of feeling that same thing. So,
Yeah, I think we talked about it in the past too, but as of recent, which is really interesting, we're starting to see some really unique activity from counties on foreclosure. So during COVID, there were moratoriums in place where property taxes or potentially even HOA fees wouldn't allow a county or an HOA to go and push to foreclosure to capture their fees back.
Right.
Which, maybe some of our listeners don't know, but property taxes are actually the very first lien. And it's impossible to expunge it.
Right.
With bankruptcy, with a short sale, the property taxes always get paid on a property.
Yeah.
And so historically, you'll see counties or cities, depending on the jurisdiction, if they haven't gotten their fees after a very short window of time, push to foreclosure.
Yeah.
It goes to an auction, and then whoever buys it has to cure that tax issue. Haven't really seen much activity on that front for a couple years.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that that's primarily due to COVID and just cities kind of not winding up yet.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see it happen now. So last month there were 500 or 550 properties in San Diego that went to auction. I think coming up here in the next week or two, there's an auction in Riverside with, I think it was closer to 1,000 properties on auction block, all tax-related liens. Some Orange County stuff coming to fruition. So that is an interesting kind of maybe crack in the market that we're going to start to see a little bit.
Things are going to change a bit, yeah.
Short sales seem, pretty stable, but yeah, I mean, what are you seeing on the traditional kind of retail side?
Yeah, I think it's the same kind of common theme that if a property's priced well, priced right, it seems to be moving pretty quickly, at least in Orange County. There are parts of LA that it's like, it's priced well, but it's just, it takes some time there. But yeah, I feel the common theme is that once we get to the right price, the properties are moving fast.
Yeah.
So, seller expectations, I think, kind of have to be in line with where the market is. And I feel buyers have come to terms a bit with where rates are, and we've seen, an increase in showings over the past few months, and we are approaching that time of year as well, where it's summertime. Yeah, we're getting there. So overall, I think we're feeling, we had a great month at the brokerage for the month of March. So it's only getting better from, where it was before. I think people have just kind of settled in and are starting to come to terms with where things are.
Yeah, we had Buy House had a great March as well. I mean, we sold a couple properties that had taken a long time to get sold, and then also opened escrow to sell a few more. So feeling good on that side.
Well, and it was interesting because with those deals, and we should probably at some point, break down some of that, because even with these were properties that were priced really similar to where they were priced when they were put back on the market, and then they moved right away. So
and some over.
Yeah.
Some over asked. I mean, we had a property that was on market at the tail end of 25. And I was willing to call it $2 million for it. Couldn't get it to move. We ended up trading at 235. By pulling it off market. I think we spent like 10 grand. Making a couple small repairs, and then had 3 offers, 2 right around ask and 1 about 150 over, but got $350K more than we would have gotten like late last year.
Yeah. So sometimes timing is huge.
Yeah.
And I think we know that going into those seasons and going into that time of the year, but also we don't want to just hold for, 6 months just because. So
yeah, it's weird too. I mean, we sold some stuff, during that window. It's just very dependent.
On other inventory that's available. And it's just important for your agent to look at all the things and make that call. But
it's probably a good segue into our first talking point, which is weird things that kill deals.
Yeah. I like this because we got 2 different perspectives. So we have, you don't like the name flipper for sure. We have an investor perspective.
Yes. Flipper. I call myself a single family value add investor.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, I don't hate the word, the term flipper, but to air that one out, I think investors or flippers get a bad reputation for a few reasons. Number one, we're going in and buying something that in some cases could trade to a traditional consumer. And so the perception that a lot of people have is that we're buying inventory away from buyers, which is not the case. We're investors. We're looking to get a yield in a short window of time, 9 months. So my argument to that is actually the opposite. I'm actually bringing a property back to market that's going to trade faster, likely bringing in, a different buyer.
Yeah.
And
to a turnkey property, the property that they want,
right.
That a consumer would have had to put all this time and effort. I mean, we've been dealing with on a very small scale at Innovate, like the remodeling and just, it's just all the things that the average person doesn't want to deal with. You're doing it for them.
Yeah. And I think, I guess some of this sounds incredibly biased, but if I was living in a neighborhood and an investor came into my neighborhood, bought something, fixed it up and sold it, I would be all like
excited.
Arms wide open because they're only helping everyone's property values. The counter argument to that is that, we're buying probably deeper because we're obviously I shouldn't say all, but we want to ensure that we're going to make some money. And so we oftentimes, write lower than list, and we find where we can actually make the money. I've said on this podcast and other places publicly that you don't make your money in construction, you make your money on your purchase. And then you establish that and create foundation around your speed and execution on the construction side. But the purchase is where you make your money. Anyways, we're digressing, but yes, I am a flipper.
Okay. So the divide, I guess, is that from an agent perspective, and I don't know about all agents here. I think that there are some agents that see a property that looks nice, and think that they'll get top dollar. Whereas, from an investor perspective, when you're buying the house, you need to know what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
And that's going to be kind of more of your perspective. Like, these are the issues with it, where the agent is like, here are the positives.
Yeah.
You're saying, okay, but here are the negatives with this home. I think we're going to jump into just some things that will potentially kill a deal that happens all the time. So the first one is the smell. Oof. So I don't know, for an investor, is that a deal killer potentially, or?
It really just depends. I mean, we've written offers on tens of thousands of houses at this point. There are different kinds of smells. So there's pet smell, like if it was a cat lady, for example, the cat urine has an incredibly high ammonia.
Why does it have to be a cat lady though?
Man,
Thank you.
I don't know
it's
that
a
I've
cat
ever,
man.
In fairness, I don't know that I've ever walked into a cat house and it be like an old single guy.
I mean, you never know.
That's a thing, crazy cat ladies.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, I think crazy cat people in general could be a thing. But
I'm just thinking back to my experience.
Cats in general, I also want to say cats, I think cats get a bad rap as well. I'm a dog person. I've never owned a cat, but I do feel like they, they've got their personalities, they've got their things. Like, I think, I see you. You're twitching.
We're heading down a really,
I'm just saying, I feel that cats deserve love as well. And I love that there are people that are
but have one, not like 10. So when I say a crazy cat person, what I mean is, for example, we bought a house that was a cat house in central Los Angeles. There were, I think, maybe 10 or 15 cats.
Yeah.
You can't clean up after 10 or 15 cats. And so the cats are peeing on walls and carpet and all that stuff.
Oh, no, that smell, I mean, it's
brutal.
It's rough.
So it wouldn't kill a deal, but from my vantage point, when I walk into that house, what I'm trying to assess is how bad is the smell, because it just changes the scope of work.
Yeah.
So we're very linear. We look at how much. I don't want to digress too much further, but I missed my second point about why flippers get a bad reputation. I think the general public and some real estate agents believe that flippers are making tons of money and it's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I've aired out on our podcast before, our target margin is 10%.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make 10% return on revenue. If I sell $1 million house, I'm looking to try to make $100,000. That's before I've paid for our whole operation, all of our employees, the people, and all the stuff. So our margins are incredibly thin. Apple has like 400% margins on the iPhone.
Yeah.
Right. So I think people get a little stuck there.
Yeah. They're looking at the numbers and they're saying this guy bought it for 1.2 and sold it for 2.5, but they don't know
That'd be a good deal.
Yeah. But they don't know what went into that and that you held it for 2 years and, had to deal with all the things.
But the smell one, all it does is it changes the scope of work. So I don't want to go too deep into this, but for example, We've had cat homes where we had to pull up, obviously, all the flooring, but then all of the plywood underneath the flooring and replace some of the framing inside of the house.
Yeah.
In those situations, all the drywall's coming out, or the vast majority of it. You can't just paint over that smell.
Right.
Kind of the same in a smoker home. But what would possibly kill a deal for me is if it's a cat home and it's lath and plaster. So if the home was built, like there are certain tracts in Los Angeles that were built in the early 1900s. So it's not drywall, it's actually like an interior plaster. If I have to go and replace all of that on the interior of the home, I would do it, but my number is just going to be lower than the seller generally wants to accept.
Right.
Because that's an incredibly time-consuming, very expensive thing to go and do.
Yeah.
So it's really just a scope of work.
That's what it comes down to, which is probably what most of these will come down to for you, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think from the agent perspective going into it, we're saying, okay, let's make the house smell as good as we can possibly make it smell, light some candles, maybe a diffuser. But, you know, I think a good agent, though, too, is going to say the same exact thing. Like, okay, what can we do? What can we replace? What can we, you know, fix? And sometimes, as you said, it's kind of past that point. So
I've bought a house where it was a cat home and they put in new carpet and painted to try to mask it.
Yeah.
It still didn't do the trick.
Yeah.
So it looked fine, you know, online photos. It actually looked like I shouldn't buy it. It should trade to an end consumer. I mean, the layout wasn't great or whatnot, but the smell wouldn't go away. And so nobody bought it and it sat on market for a long time. And we ended up buying it and then correcting all the issues.
Yeah.
I want to make one final argument. I've never been in a super stinky house that was because of dogs. I've been in stinky houses from dogs, but it's not something that like can't go away without ripping drywall down.
Yeah.
Dogs are like, they might like pee or poo or something like that, but it doesn't like seep into the stuff.
Yeah, it is different. I definitely think it's different. And that's why we're not talking about a dog house. We're talking about a cat house.
I love dogs.
It is definitely a different sense.
Let me correct one statement. If you're a crazy person that needs lots of animals, maybe don't go cat. Maybe go a different way.
You can have a couple cats, maybe a donkey.
They'll live outside. It's great.
Pig.
Yeah.
Like
pigs can live outside too.
Oh man, that actually brings me back to, we've got to get one of our agents on the podcast to tell his pig story. It's so good. It's so good. I've talked about it a couple times, but we need to execute that. Okay. We went real deep on the smell, but hairline cracks. So that's a big one because I think that's actually different between agents and investors as far as like what the fear is there.
Yeah.
And I actually think that buyers are almost more concerned than an investor, at least a seasoned investor.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know if you agree.
It goes back to the scope of work, and it's so dependent on that specific property. Hairline foundation cracks, to me, are usually only concerning when there's a few different, characteristics. If the property's hillside, or if there's some sort of weird drainage issue into the property, we want to understand: did the foundation crack because it just settled, or is there some sort of geological issue where you're going to have to actually go in and put drainage and it's not like, hey, go fix this $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000
totally
foundation
situation.
thing, but spend $200,000 putting in a storm drain and all that other stuff. Hillside, we look at the age of the foundation. We look at, was there an addition added, like a second story, and then that construction maybe wasn't done properly or whatnot. But generally, depending, and then also, I guess the last thing I'd look at is, does the plumbing run through the foundation? That could be concerning, which is very rare here, but it can happen. And so, one other concern would be post tension. So in the 60s and 70s, I think in 80s, there was this period of time where they would pour a foundation and they'd pull these cables really tight in the foundation as they poured it. And that was supposed to, create seismic stability. So if there was an earthquake or something, But if there's a crack in that foundation and one of those post-tension ties snaps, it can like shatter this foundation and like destroy the home essentially. So we try to look at all of those things, but if there's no post-tension, there's no geological drainage issues, I'm not afraid to go and fix foundation.
Right. Yeah. It's fixable.
Easy.
Yeah. Buyers,
Not easy,
though, yeah, it's doable.
Yeah.
Buyers hear foundation, though, and they're like, absolutely not. You know, I think it's a different conversation for sure. They're usually pretty scared.
Yeah. I mean, I think my recommendation, I'm not a real estate agent, but would just be work with your agent to go and find a licensed foundation specialist, not a general contractor, but a foundation specialist.
Yeah.
They'll go to the city, they'll pull their permits, they'll do all of the reporting, whether it's soils or engineering work, and then they'll do the actual renovation. We just bought a house in West Hills a week ago, and it's going to be a $50,000 foundation repair. This home was on market. They opened escrow with an end consumer. During the inspection, they found this massive crack in the foundation. Buyer freaks out, walks away, goes back to market. We end up buying it because it's not lendable.
Yeah.
So that's the other piece we should have talked about is that most lenders won't lend with a foundation issue.
Right.
They deem that non-lendable.
Yeah.
And so it has to get repaired by the seller before it closes with an end buyer.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, $55,000 sounds like a big, crazy ordeal. We're going to have like a month of getting our permits. The actual work's going to take like 4 days.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
Yeah.
Concrete and metal is easy.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. The other thing where you'll see a difference in opinion with buyers and investors is, unique over personalized design. So sometimes buyers will walk into a house and there's a crazy, we had a whole segment.
You can just say ugly. You can say an ugly house. There are ugly houses.
There are ugly houses. And we saw some, on one of our segments that we did, we rated these listings and we were honest. And we might need to bring that back for a cameo every now and then. But the point is, I think a buyer sees it and is like scared.
This one to me is a tougher one because, when people have a negative opinion about a flipper, the way I view a flipper is that they should be buying the foundation cracked homes. They should be buying homes that an end consumer can't physically buy, or one that's so cosmetically defect that it's going to require a ton of construction. We're going to do it more efficiently than an end consumer can. And so the actual financial dynamic to an end consumer is better if we do it than if they try to do it themselves.
Right.
Because of our costs to actually go and do it. So even after paying, double transaction fees and whatever, our contracting costs versus a retail contractor is going to be like 60% cheaper or something.
Right.
So it kind of covers the difference. If somebody just has a really ugly house and an end consumer can't see past that, I think it's the agent's duty. So it's the buyer's agent's duty to say, forget the red wall.
Yeah.
Like, stop thinking or getting stuck on this red wall. Like, we can put a coat of paint on that. If it's like this crazy ornate ugly tile, like that's an easy thing to go and fix. If it's the whole house,
we saw some of those. Yeah. But no, I agree. I think that goes to the value. We talk about that for real estate agents all the time. Like, what value are you bringing? And I think, a lot of these points as we go through them, I don't think there's anything that a good quality agent wouldn't be able to overcome. In that situation, it's like we're actually very aligned, you and I, on our perspective, because it's as much as this is meant to be a debate. I think if you have an agent that knows what they're doing and they see something like that is cosmetic, or even not. There are so many situations where it's like, hey, if you remove this wall, this completely changes the house. And I think it goes back to, now, a buyer doesn't always see that. They're seeing all the shiny, pretty things, and that's what they want. But really being able to create the vision, and with AI now, it's stupid.
Scary fast.
I can just take a picture, upload it in my phone, and be like, "This is what it would look like." know. So I think a good agent should be able to get over that.
Yeah, unless it's like a 6-foot gargoyle.
on
the roof,
on the neighbor's roof.
I'm just kidding. That one we can take that off.
You have to stare at when you look out the window every day. Yeah. Okay. Clutter, poor presentation. So you would
That's
definitely.
also like a nice way of saying a hoarder house.
Yeah, a hoarder. I mean,
Clutter.
we have seen some hoarder houses in our time. And yeah, I mean, I think again, you would see past that right away.
Yeah.
I think the retail buyer, it actually goes back to kind of like the smell situation too. Like there's a feeling when you walk into a house where you're channeling different emotions.
Yeah.
And with an investor, like that's just not the case. It's not about the emotions in any way, but it is about how do you create those emotions and making sure that you can create those emotions in the future.
Yeah.
But I think that's just another situation of like, the creating that for the buyer.
I will say that one is a really tough one for investors to wrap their head around. I see early investors make the same mistake where they look at a hoarder house and they go, oh, it's going to be $5,000 to go and take everything out.
Yeah.
And then they buy and then they realize, holy smokes, this is going to be a $20,000 demo bill because all of that clutter has to go somewhere.
Right.
And if it's enough clutter, you don't know exactly what's there. For example, we bought a house in Long Beach in 2020 and there was so much clutter in the backyard. We thought that there was a garage that was detached from the house just full of like newspapers and crap. In reality, there were 2 cars hidden underneath all the trash. And so we anticipated spending like $6,000 or something moving this stuff.
Wow.
In reality, there's 2 like fully, well, not functional, but just cars that had to go and get trashed out.
Wow. Yeah.
And so as an investor, as a tidbit, just spend time during your inspection window.
Like physically digging.
I would
shovel.
send an inspector, and if there's a lot of clutter, I would send if you're not going to do the demo internally, have somebody that is a specialist in that go and give you a quote.
Yeah.
Just so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, that's a good one. Fun fact.
But for buyers, I mean, I wouldn't make that, if the home is perfect outside of all the clutter, just do the same thing. Bring in a professional trash removal company because we've had properties we've bought before that were hoarder houses. And the minute you take all the stuff out and you clean it up, it's like, this house could sell.
Yeah.
I don't need to do rehab on it.
Yeah, it's great.
So that might be, that might be an angle. I know it's hard to look past that stuff, but
yeah. Okay. And then we've got smaller issues that add up fast. So an old roof, outdated electrical, some issues with the plumbing.
Yeah.
I think, if it's just one, maybe, a buyer's okay with that or investor. But, I think like everyone can kind of agree that, when they start to add up, it could be
issues.
things that the buyers don't want to take on for sure. But
yeah, that one's probably not an issue for an investor unless it's another characteristic of the property. I mean, if it's a roof that we didn't know about, then we may have to ask for a price reduction. But
well, I think it goes back to doing inspections in general. Like, there are things that a buyer's got to walk away from because there's just a lot of work that needs to be done. Also, though, I think it's a good time to talk about a home warranty for a buyer because I think they don't even know sometimes. Like some of these things, an old roof or, an old HVAC, like, okay, but guess what? Like if this ends up, if the if the AC blows like 2 weeks after you close, you actually have a home warranty that will pay for that. So I think sometimes buyers just need to understand, what the situation is, what the benefits are for that home warranty to help them through some of that as well.
Yeah. I like it.
Layouts. I actually think, that one our buyers and investors are kind of aligned on because it's for the same thing, right? Like sometimes you can change a layout. But
I guess it depends on how bad the defect is, but in Southern California, there are all these tracts of homes that were built in the 50s, 60s. They were awfully closed. So there might be a formal dining room, a formal living room, a kitchen, and then like a family room. And, younger buyers that are paying top dollar for move-in ready product want kind of an open floor plan, something that feels more spacious. And, so the worst thing that can possibly happen is structural work. Like you've got to go take 3 or 4 walls out, which, kind of leads us to another point down here further down the list. But that just adds to your timeline because you might have to get that work permitted.
Yeah.
But that's where I find most of the value is on our side that we go and create is taking a cosmetically defect layout and making it something that's appealing to a younger buyer.
Yeah.
And we don't nail that all the time. I mean, we talk about it on a weekly basis where we even miss some opportunities on layout. But
yeah. Speaking of, I was like, it's almost time to talk about that on the weekly basis.
Yeah.
So I think we can wrap this up with permitted work and unpermitted work. So again, I think a buyer, they're going to look at that may have issues with their loan because of that. But I think it's more just a fear as well. Was the work done properly? And for an investor, that's probably not so much of a deal killer.
Yeah, it's not about if the work was done correctly for an investor. It's really, can you go and get it permitted to have it be livable square feet, which does obviously include, was the work done correctly? But the one tidbit I would add there for a buyer is that you don't actually care if there's a permit on record at the city. You care that there was an architect and an engineer that designed it correctly and that the contractor built it to that code. So a city inspector, all they do is look at the set of plans and see if it was built to that plan, and then they give a permit. Obviously, they look at the plans before they give the permit.
Yeah.
But I've seen tons of work that was done correctly that didn't have a city permit on it.
Yeah.
And I don't. If your lender gives you a loan, I don't know why you would care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which you can snuff out during inspection.
Yeah, that's what I think it always comes down to inspection for a buyer. And I think that's where the takeaway is. It's, a lot of times it's not about just one of these things. If there are more than, if you've got a laundry list of items, like sometimes there's 1 or 2 things that you can deal with. Maybe not the cat smell, but
bring them. I love them. Great deals
for you. Yeah, definitely. So okay, well, I think on that note,
it's a wrap.
I think we have to go into our tea real quick. We promised the listeners
I almost forgot.
So we have to at least touch on a little bit of tea, which is
okay. Wait, let me open this.
Sorry,
one.
What was I thinking?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
Is the hot topic this week. That's what we're talking about. He might pull his Malibu listing off market. But one thing he never pulls is a girlfriend past 25.
Okay. That is, I mean, the internet says that as truth. So.
How old is Leo?
I think he's got to be in his 50s.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to add to that statement other than.
I mean, my thing is like, hey, you love who you love. I am not one to judge, but I mean, I hope that you have some commonalities, some things to, talk about. I mean, I guess I look at myself when I was like 20 and I felt like I was really mature. I mean, so maybe there are other connections.
I do not want my daughter when she's 20 dating a 40-year-old.
No.
That scares the hell out of me.
It feels terrible. Yeah, but yeah.
So he originally buys this property July of 25. So less than a year ago for $23 million. At the same time, he tried a hybrid strategy, also offering it to rent at $65K a month.
Yeah, so he listed it in 2025. I think he bought it 2021 for $13 million.
Got it. You're correct. So he tries to sell it and or lease it. Interesting. When that doesn't move, he cut the price by over $3 million, bringing it down to 20. Still no buyer, and now he's officially taken it off the market.
Off the market, and this is a cliffside Malibu property, private beach access, floor-to-ceiling glass, all the things that you can imagine. And I think that this is just a really great example of something that we're seeing more of.
Yeah.
Even with high-end luxury, that price still matters, you
Yeah.
know, and you have to be priced right. We talked about it last week with
Yeah.
Tiger's Home, you know. So you can still have an A-list celebrity and in a really great Malibu location. And if you're not priced right, you're going to sit on the market.
Sounds like he just didn't have an Innovate agent
I mean,
on the transaction.
I think that's the answer to everything. But also, actually, and I'm going to throw this in here, and I think we can talk about it next week, because I do think it is important to have an Innovate agent, not only because of what we do for our marketing, but, you know, there's all of these weird partnerships happening out there. And, you know, we have some history with Zillow. We represented Zillow when they bought and sold houses for a few years in all of Southern California.
Yep.
And so I think, you know, you can say a lot of things about Zillow. You can say a lot of things about everyone, any company. But, you know, they're knowing the behind the scenes. They really are, or at least put the effort out there to project that they are about the consumer and empowering the consumer with information. So they did release their Zillow preview product where, you know, we as Innovate agents are actually able to put our pre-marketed listings on their platform. It does still go hand in hand with MLS rules. So they didn't change that. They're just opening that up.
They're just allowing the syndication.
They're allowing the syndication. So we're really happy to be a part of that. Because marketing does matter. And I think, you know, it is important that agents all have access to these tools, that it's not just, you know, you have to go with a Compass agent to see this listing. Like it just doesn't, it's not getting that out to the market. It's not fair to the seller or to the buyer. So anyway, with that, we can talk about that more in the future, because they're coming out with some pretty exciting things that we have access to. We talk about it all the time. The way things are evolving with technology, it's faster than ever. And, you know, we're trying to be right there with them with everything we're working on. So.
What I would say is they probably know more than anybody on the planet what a buyer or a seller wants because of how many eyeballs get to their website. And what I think is interesting is that they trust organizations like us to go and test some of those new products and theories. And so, I mean, that would be my statement to a buyer or a seller in the future. You know, the reason that Innovate is in such a powerful position is that we have some of the largest organizations that know all about the way a transaction is going to take place, reaching out to us to test new things. You know, I think you're losing a lot of value by not working with an Innovate agent for that very reason. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that,
shameless plug. That is a wrap this week. We covered a lot. What I learned today is that not all cats are bad.
That's true.
My daughter's not going to date Leonardo DiCaprio. And you should list and buy with Innovate.
There you go. Okay. See you next time.
See you next week.